Garret Lewis with you. It is your afternoon addiction, 550 KFYI in Phoenix, KNST AM 790 in Tucson. Again, the breaking news is Israel has launched airstrikes against Iran. Officials saying America is not involved. This is after earlier today President Trump said he directed everybody in his administration to try to get a deal with Iran. Apparently it didn't work. So as more happens and there's explosions being heard in Tehran, as more happens, I will get it to you. But speaking of President Trump, we've had riots across the country, riots in Tucson. This weekend they're doing these No Kings, a No Kings riot. It's being like funded by the Walmart heiress, the billionaire Christy Walton, and other liberal groups, far-left progressive groups. President Trump was asked about this. It's going to be all over Arizona, too, these No Kings protests. They're going to call it a protest. It'll be a riot. Hang on.
There are several No Kings protests planned across the country on Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on those?
What do they call it? No Kings?
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. A king would say, I'm not going to get this. A king would have never had the California mandate to even be talking to him. He wouldn't have to call up Mike Johnson and Thune and say, fellas, you got to pull this off, and after years we get it done. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all. Thank you very much.
Well, we might need some help. Dan McKnight, founder, CEO, Defend the Guard, Bring Our Troops Home. He was a National Guardsman, Marine. Dan, thank you for the time. Do you think that we're prepared here in Arizona if there are riots? I mean, with the LA-style riots, now you have these No Kings protests, and who knows what they're going to become. Do you think Katie Hobbs is actually prepared to call up the Arizona National Guard?
Well, Garrett, thanks for having me on. But, in a race to the bottom, the Democrats' champion relay team is Governor Hochul, Governor Pritzker, and the anchor of that relay team in the race to the bottom is your governor, Katie Hobbs.
Yep.
Do I think the National Guard of Arizona can handle the riots? 100%. The problem is Hobbs won't deploy them. She will not call them up to handle the problems, especially in small towns like Sedona, where there's only 30 peace officers, and they're expecting thousands of protesters. She doesn't have the guts to do it. Your National Guard is the most professional in the country, some of the best soldiers I ever served with, and they won't get a chance to defend their homeland because Katie Hobbs is busy signing peace treaties and defense contracts with the Sultan of Oman. She'd rather them go to Yemen than to stay at home in Arizona and do their job.
That's right. She sent them there. Was that last year or 2 years ago that she did that?
Yeah, she flew out there on her little private jet and signed a mutual defense contract with Oman to defend their border against Yemen, while the whole time she sent a handful of National Guard troops to the southern border and had them expedite the invasion into our own country.
Wow, that's not good. I mean, if we go back 5 years, when Ducey was governor, he had to deploy the National Guard because when the BLM riots were going on, that scam, Scottsdale Fashion Square was getting looted. And there were threats that women were going to be raped. All this stuff was going on. So he called up the National Guard and it headed off at least a good amount of damage. I mean, are you hearing anything from any National Guardsmen with these? Because the No Kings protests are happening all over Arizona, but all over the country, too.
Hundreds and hundreds of protests are scheduled all over the country. And the National Guard, their job, this is actually their job. Everybody's protesting and complaining that President Trump is acting like a king and using the military against his own citizens. But the National Guard is actually serves a dual-purpose role. Their job is to protect the homeland, to protect the private property, the lives, and the liberty of American citizens. And the Constitution gives the president the authority to use the National Guard for that purpose, which he is doing, and we applaud it. We don't condemn it at all. We applaud it because that's what they should be doing.
And by the way, this is Dan McKnight, Defend the Guard, Bring Our Troops Home. He's on the Afternoon Addiction. I think they're doing a pretty good job, and the media's doing a really good job, and the media's trying to act like Trump did something that has never happened before because Gavin Newsom was not going to activate his own California National Guard. President Trump did, and of course that makes him a dictator. What's the feelings about that? And you get any idea about what's going on with the National Guard in California? What are their feelings about what President Trump did?
I'll tell you, yeah, great question. The National Guard, when we enlist in the National Guard, we sign a dual oath, one to our country and one to our state. And in that oath for both of them, it says that we will defend the Constitution. We will defend America from all invaders, all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so the National Guard getting to defend their homeland is what they're for. They train for foreign wars. They train to defend the borders. They train for combat. They train for civil unrest. This is a function of the National Guard. And those that wear the uniform that have sworn that oath, they're willing to pay the price with their life. Unlike Senator Padilla or Ruben Gallego down in Arizona, they're not willing to defend the oath with their life. They're willing to use the oath that they swore to political grandstand and make grand gestures about how they are superior because they support the rule of law. Well, I'm sorry, Gallego, old Mr. Senator from Arizona, he said that the troops it's a waste of time for them to be used for this purpose. Well, if protecting American lives, liberty, and property is a waste of time, hey, Senator Gallego, maybe sit this one out. Let the troops handle it. The men are here.
Well, there you go. What do you think would have happened if President Trump did not activate the National Guard?
Oh, I think the protests would be even bigger, and then they would blame him for losing control of his own country. What, Mr. President? You can't even control your own country? And so we see the National Guard right now. And Garrett, I want to point this out. The Arizona National Guard is currently in Germany, prepared to march into Ukraine or Poland. They're training in Alaska, preparing for another undeclared war deployment in the Middle East. And then they're also in Arizona defending the homeland. Which of those three would be the top of your personal priority list? I'm going to go ahead and answer for you. It's probably defending Arizona.
100%.
But unfortunately, Katie Hobbs is unwilling, and Speaker Montenegro, Arizona Speaker of the House, they're unwilling to protect the Arizona National Guard from being deployed overseas in undeclared wars, and they've advocated their responsibility to Arizona citizens.
And again, go over that. There's that bill. Yeah, that's the thing. The House Speaker Steve Montenegro is not bringing it. He's not bringing it up again.
Yeah, it's Defend the Guard. It's been passed by the Senate 3 years in a row by the incredible work of Senator Rogers. And this year, we had another champion in the House, Representative Gillette, who took it up. 35-year retired sergeant major in the military. He called the Pentagon. He called the Department of Defense and asked them if they supported this bill to keep the Arizona National Guard unless Congress has done their job. And Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said absolutely. So now between Rogers and Gillette, there's 60 years of veteran service to our country right there. But that's not good enough for Montenegro. Speaker Montenegro is so incompetent, he couldn't even pass a budget. You guys are about to be shut down because of funding issues. And the most important veteran, pro-Arizona, pro-democracy, pro-defense, pro-veteran bill that's ever come before him is being stalled because he's incompetent and he's unable to lead his way out of a wet paper bag.
Yeah, you summed it up. I don't like the guy. I think he's way in over his head. He basically only works for lobbyists, so there's got to be money involved too, and that's why he won't bring it up. I mean, it's pathetic. Last thing, you were a Marine also, and thank you so much for your service.
I was a Marine, and seeing the Marines getting deployed into LA is it's sad and exciting all at the same time because they're going to call in the Second Marines of the Second Battalion Marines, 7th Marine Division. They're going to go in there. They're pissed off. They've come back from the Middle East. They're not going to be people you're going to want to mess with. They're going in there with a purpose to defend American interests, American buildings, American properties, and allow the ICE agents and federal law enforcement to do their job. No one is more professional than the National Guard soldiers who train every day when they put the uniform on to perform their jobs, and the United States Marines. If you're going to pick a fight, you don't want to fight Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson. That's what these protesters have done. They're idiots. Yes, they are. And I think the Marines are going to be there to protect the federal buildings, is what I read. But yeah, I mean, they're going to be these are the real deals. You know this. You're one of them. So I hope that people can just give Steve Montenegro a piece of their mind. The website is defendtheguard.us. Dan, thank you for the insight and thank you for the time. I really do appreciate it. You bet. On the website, if you click on the ICE riots, you can sign the petition, and we will let the president know that you support his efforts to use the National Guard. Perfect. I see that. Defendtheguard.us. Thank you, Dan. More coming up.